now for all you've done to your bodies. It's still real to me, damn it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Oh gosh, Jeremy, how many energy drinks have you had tonight?
I had 2.
Let me get this up here.
Hey, I'm just trying to bring a little enthusiasm to the broadcast.
There we go. I'm your host, Howard Chaney. Man right here is the man that makes it possible that just disappeared. Randy UT Cunningham heading to big Music City this weekend for a big matchup between Virginia and UT. Your thoughts on it, Randy, real quick?
Hey, I just came back from a junior high game. Got a high school tomorrow night. Going to go see the Vols and UVA. And UVA, God bless them. My thoughts are this is the first time that they played since they had a mass shooting, which included 2 or 3 football players getting beat or killed in the shooting. And, it's tough, man. They're not very good. Tennessee ought to run over them. But the name of their starting quarterback, Tony Muskett of the Virginia Cavaliers, best man in football.
That is correct.
So
that's the best.
Vols 56, UVA 14.
This man right here, the man that's got all the sugar high and the energy drinks in him, with the brand new Edge shirt.
Yep, right here, baby.
JJ Johnson. Jeremy, your thoughts on the Tennessee Virginia game, real quick.
Well, I mean, I'm with Randall. Tennessee. Listen, I'm an Alabama fan through and through, but Tennessee is on the upswing.
Hired the right coach finally.
Say again.
Hired the right coach finally.
Yeah, I believe he's the man for the job, and the high that they're on. Here's the thing: don't drink your own Kool-Aid. You haven't done anything yet. You're on the upswing, right? But don't drink your own Kool-Aid, and don't underestimate your opponents, and don't think just because of what happened last year means that you're going to have a bet. It's not. You got to put the work in.
Jeremy, you said it perfect. We got a bonus last year. Work still got to be done. Well, last year was an anomaly in a rebuilding of a program.
Yep.
Just happened to have a great senior class that could play with anybody, including Hinda Hooker. Yep. You said it best. And for the Tennessee fans, if we're 9-3 this year, 3 years ago you would have died to be 9-3. So.
That's right. That's exactly right. So, start off a season on the right foot. Obviously, there'll be things that they'll look at that happen during the game that they'll probably say, hey, we got to work on some things. Beatable opponent. But hey, look, all joking aside, that Neyland Stadium packed out for a big game, that's great atmosphere.
It is.
You can feel it. I've not been there, but you can feel it through the TV. And when you can feel it through the TV, it's a great atmosphere. So,
but this year you got Florida and Alabama both on the road. But you do get Georgia. Let me tell you, game 11, Georgia's only top 10 program, only team that won more than 3 SEC games.
Yes.
That Georgia plays is Tennessee in Knoxville in November. And it's going to be cold and it's going to be blustery. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But didn't mean to direct us there, but boys,
football season.
You're the host, but I'm so excited to talk about this pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So if Tennessee drinks their own Kool-Aid, they'll end up like Jeremy on a sugar high. Then all of a sudden, when that rush, you're going to fall flat on your face.
Hey, you be fighting like CM Punk backstage to get it over with.
That's right, baby.
So
that's right.
This is not a football show. This is actually a wrestling show. Just wanted to touch, two good games on TV right now, Florida and Utah and Minnesota and somebody else. And so that's kind of got me excited about the football season coming up. And One last word about the football.
High school.
If you're not at a high school game tomorrow night, turn on, I think it's ESPN. Watch a good friend of the show, Clayton Powell, play tomorrow night against who they're playing against. I've gone blank.
I don't have my notes with me. I wrote it.
I can't remember. Anyway, just check him out. He's number 5 this year. All freshman last year, won all sorts of awards.
American. Let's get it right, Howie Chaney. Fresh All American.
I said won all freshman awards. I mean, what else? What else is there? So anyway, check him out on TV. Good friend of the show. Been on the show several times, or a couple of times at least. And
great young man too, Howie. I joke with you about it, but let's being serious. Clayton Powell Lee is one of the class, or Clayton's just one of the class people we've ever had on this network.
Absolutely.
Nice.
So let's get into the show. The name of the show was It's Still Real to Me, and there was some real fighting going on during this page all in the episode. So let's kick it off real quick. I did not realize, and I did not know that they were 2 0-hour worth of matches going on. I did not see the first one, did not know about it. Took me forever to find the second 0-hour because of it was only on YouTube TV, as far as I know, or YouTube channel. So let's talk about the 2 0 matches, because that led up to the main event, what was going to happen later on.
Yeah.
And the main event, actually, everybody got to saw, and the main event that happened backstage just a few minutes before and after a match. So the first match of the 0-hour was Better Than You, Baby, against Aussie Open and for the ROH World Tag Team titles. And a little bit to my surprise, Better Than You, Baby, end up winning. Jeremy, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think when we talked about this last week, we really didn't know what was going to happen with this. I do like Aussie Open. I do like Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis. I think they're a great tag team. I like that combination. Fletcher's the athlete, Davis is the power. But you had to believe that there was going to that match had to play into what was going to happen later on that night. So, I guess maybe somewhat surprised. I don't know. I just assumed they would win. Ironically, or not ironically, but expectedly, with the kangaroo kick and a double clothesline. Listen, Adam Cole and MJF, super talented. And I've been critical of Adam Cole's physique and this, that, and the other. That's not taking anything away from this guy. He's super talented. And maybe, I don't know if I was surprised, but it was a good match.
I was surprised, and when MJF does his kangaroo impersonation, it gets me every time. Randy, your thoughts on it?
I started to make a clip of the kangaroo kick, and with that, I kind of ran out of time. Not lazy booking. I said on the show last week, this would be an easy place to go lazy booking.
Yep.
Don kind of challenged himself by having MJF and Bebe win.
Yeah.
I love Aussie Open.
I do.
About Aussie Open, they're not a New Japan talent that's doing it in AEW spot. As I understand, Aussie Open is AEW now. They may send them back to Japan, but the contract is AEW. Just like Jay White's is, he can still appear in New Japan, but they are centered out of the U.S. And I don't think this is the last we hear of them. We saw Richards over in Huntsville, and he's a big guy. Didn't realize how big he was.
Kyle Fletcher, yeah, absolutely.
I think Aussie Open has a bright future.
Mm-hmm.
But again, only thing I'm going to bow it to is the Usos and the Bloodline storyline even fathered the storyline with the winning of the ROH World title, and it comes into play in the main event. That wove itself back into the main event, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So listen, with that being said, MJF, and I know we'll talk more about him, how diverse he's becoming. He's how talented he is. So we're playing this kind of funny ha ha type thing. He can play a straight up heel bad man. Super man, that he's pulling this off really well.
You know, I'll remind you, as we went into this a few weeks ago, I said I was tired of MJF the heel.
Yep.
And it got stale.
Yep.
All new, all fresh, and hey, best storyline he may have ever been in AEW.
Yes.
Even taking shots a little bit at the WWE with the.
Mm-hmm.
I would have went to the WWE, but I might have been wearing a mole on my head and be called Malachi Freeman. You know, I thought that.
It's good.
So, I'm with you, but before we go, I know you're going to take us there. The next 0 hour may have been the better match of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that right now. Next match was Hook against Jack Perry for the FTW title. And to my surprise, Hook came up victorious with this.
Mm-hmm.
Controversial spot there toward the end of the match there. Randy, go ahead and kick us off.
Well, there was some things said, and evidently, you can't overlook that Collision has been kind of given to CM Punk to be hit by AEW, and you've got talent that's on Collision colliding with CM Punk. The statement about the car window, very obviously a shot at CM Punk.
Yes.
What I also understand is after CM Punk and Jungle Jack Perry, or Jack Perry as he's known now, had a little bit of a collision, a little bit of argument, that Miedo got involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I would probably say CM Punk might take Jack Perry, but I'll put my money if CM Punk stands up to Miedo, he's going to need some plastic surgery the next week.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Howie, I thought it was a good work match, and that's been overshadowed. You know, Hook was so hot. People have criticized and said, well, you know, they've wasted Hook. He was too hot, too green.
Yes.
They needed to season him a little bit, and I think they've been trying to do that. You can't have the Ultimate Warrior out there with everybody. I don't care how hot you are. Hook didn't wrestle. He had about 5 moves. So I thought that was the best match Hook had ever worked, Howie. Complete match, and I think that's completely overshadowed by the backstage BS that's haunting AEW. And we'll deal with it later, but I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it now. I kind of took CM Punk's side in all this. But it seems like the constant problem in the elite now, it's CM Punk. And I love CM Punk. I think he brings so much to AEW. I don't want him to go. But if he continues to be the center of a lightning rod, how can you keep him there? You know? I mean, and, you know, Cody said it the other day in an interview. I know why I left AEW. I'm not going to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Speculate it was the elite. There's problems backstage, boys, but they got to get that figured out, or it's going to be a dead company.
I don't know if y'all heard the story or not, but the last report that I heard was Jack Perry wanted to do the glass spot a couple weeks ago at Collision, and Punk told him not to. Move forward to this here. Jack Perry wanted to do another glass spot. AEW upper officials told him no, not to do it. Some of the other wrestlers told him no, not to do it. And when Punk arrived, they approached Punk and said, tell him not to do it. And apparently Jack Perry was told not to do it, but did it anyway. And then when he went through the back there, Punk questioned him. And, you know, I think it's just a mere fact of the talent that is there that wants it to be legit wrestling is wanting Punk to kind of be the Undertaker role and control the locker room and kind of be the final say, but everybody else don't want that to happen.
I hate to jump back in. I'm going to give you a perfect scenario of this. This is WCW when you had Ric Flair running the locker room, but Bischoff and Hogan wanted Hogan to run the locker room. Unfortunately, probably the people that most of them want to run the locker room is not the guy that's popular. And I do hold, I think Kenny Omega needs to step away from the Elite or Hangman. One of the original EVP needs to be an adult and step away from that and go, okay, guys, I am an executive of this company, and you will fall.
Yeah.
You know? And whatever reason, CM Punk and Kenny Omega are here, I'm going to tell you now that I've lost all respect for both of them if they don't eventually bury this. Because no matter what they say, that's the problem is CM Punk and Kenny Omega.
All right, Jeremy.
Yeah. Well, you talked about it overshadowing the match itself. I think it's overshadowing the monumental achievement of this event. It's sad to do something, and they're being, and the WWE reports of attendance and all that have always there's a question mark beside of them because this was legit paid attendance. That's unbelievable. But here's what we're talking about.
Signed it again for next year.
Yeah.
At the time, it's leaked. Reno, Mexico, 70,000 people probably coming sometime here.
Yeah.
We're talking about crash.
Right. So, but here's my thing. I heard the same thing and read the same thing that Howie read about this situation. All right, so I got 2 points. All right, number one, if you're Jack Perry, you're looking at all the nonsense that we're going to get into some of it that goes on, and then you're telling me not to do a windshield spot. Why? Number one. So there has to be, and I know they put out some guidelines and all that, and they're not following those guidelines, by the way. If you don't have some kind of structure to those things, you're going to run into this because if you're Jack Perry, you're going, well, why is it all right for best friends to go through a windshield or use a dang fork if you're Moxley, which I'll get into, and why can't I do it? Because I feel like it's going to better my match.
CM Punk bled within 30 seconds.
All right. So
30 seconds, CM Punk was through a table bleeding.
Okay. So that being said, then the other thing is, Jack Perry, you ain't done squat yet. You are nothing. You are lucky that you have that platform to be wrestling because you have no business getting the start that you got back a few years ago. And I'm just saying, I like Jungle Boy. I did. You got to show respect. And so, again, me not being in a locker room years ago, me not knowing it. But from what I understand, if you're new, you better show respect to the senior people in the locker room. Otherwise, you may get that chokehold or whatever. So 2 things. I can understand where he's coming from, but like, hey, why can't I do it? You're letting everybody else do crazy stuff. Why can't I do it? But then also, if you've been asked by senior management, by talent relations, you had some of the senior wrestlers on there, and they say, hey, look, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. And then you not just do it, but you make sure that you get on camera and you send a message back to them. Screw you. And then, from what I understand, when he comes back there, he's got an attitude. He's going to walk right by Punk, who's waiting to go out for match 1, and he either bumps him or wants to brush him off. I get the thing with Punk. I've changed sides. I blamed him. I said, they need to let him go. I'm changing my tune because I'm going to go back to the Young Bucks, and I'm ranting here. Your EVPs, you need to start acting like them. Bury the hatchet, work this out, make it an angle, make some money, and stop being a stupid idiot, to put it in Jericho terminology.
Can I bring up a point real quick? I don't think it's the fact that they don't want Jack Perry to do this stuff. It's the fact of they don't want him to use the real glass.
Okay, all right.
Let me even go farther, and then I want to put this to bed. You don't do that in a 0-hour match. You don't do it in a warm-up match.
No.
Pat Rose, we all know, great friend of the show. Pat Rose is 20-year vet. He will tell you your job is to not get out of the ring, get the people in their seat, and certainly don't use a chair. Is that I got more problem with that. Here's the problem, and this is my last statement about this. If CM Punk, the Elite, go away now, there's enough Jack Perry. There is enough talent in that company. They will be fine. So whoever the problem is, if it's Kenny Omega, exit him. If it's CM, exit him. If it's Jack Perry, exit him. Whatever you got to do to fix that locker room, because I'm going to tell you right now, that show, that spot that Jack Perry had, that spot that CM Punk had, you want to tell me that Miedo versus Samoa Joe in the first match isn't as interesting? Because it is. I've seen CM Punk, Samoa Joe about 5 times now.
Yeah.
I've never seen Miedo and Samoa Joe. Whatever it is.
I'm in on that. That would be great.
Get them out of here. We've got to fix it. And
if they can't fix it themselves, you're either gonna get in the room. I've said this before with certain situations. I'm getting them people in the room like, look, we're gonna hash this out right now, and we're gonna get this out of the way so we can move forward. Because what's happening is they're losing sight of the end goal. What's the end goal? The end goal is to make money.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I want you to think about something, though, and then we'll move on to the first match. The punishment was there for the Elite. The biggest show in AEW history. We're about to tell you, everyone in the Elite loses.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That was an ego adjustment in the booking. No matter what, that was the burying of Triple H for Stone Cold Steve Austin. So
I got you.
Got on a rant.
No, it's fine. I think we need to get on these things and make it interesting. I just think it's a shame that these type of things, almost a year to the day, overshadow a really, I enjoyed this pay-per-view. A good pay-per-view.
It's night one of WrestleMania this decade, the 2020s. So,
what is funny about it is that on that Sunday when it's going on, Randy says he don't want spoilers. Jeremy says, I'll take the spoilers.
Bring it on.
So I'm sitting there texting Jeremy, and I'm like, hey, Hook just beat Jack Perry. Punk is wrestling next. CM Punk against Samoa Joe. And the match after that is when the Elite and CM Punk is passing, going in and out backstage. And I told Jeremy, I said, I wonder how awkward or what they had to do to maneuver everybody around to keep them from being close to each other. Not even knowing about this Jack CM Punk stuff going on.
So look right there. Here's where they're missing this. If they can bury the hatchet right here, if they could get on good terms and say, look, we both disagreed, we blah, 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 whatever the case, we want to work together. How good of an angle would that have been to begin? And you got Punk walking up the ramp. and you got the Elite coming at the same time, and they make eye contact, and there's this stare, and there's that they're missing out big time on some money.
Maybe I'm again the only guy that thinks it. I thought that was a work. I thought that was the sign, all clear. I didn't know the other incident had took place.
Right.
Again, the Elite's not involved in this incident.
No, they're not. No.
And I thought losing and having Punk out there was more than I really thought we had buried that.
And we may be the kind of people that just keep bringing it up. So who knows?
Let's go to that first match, Janie.
Who would have thought that we would have spent 20 minutes on 0 hour of
0
0 hour?
If I could flip a bird on Earth Station, I would. But let's go.
Yep. So here we go. First match of the night. CM Punk defeated Samoa Joe in a singles match for the Real World Championship, which will not be defended this weekend at All Out because of the suspension. All right, Jeremy, your thoughts on this match?
So anytime I can watch CM Punk and I can watch Samoa Joe, or Samoa Joe, period. Anytime I can watch these two, more especially for me, Samoa Joe in any match, I love this. I like this match a lot. I heard some criticism that it was a little slower paced and it was a little more, instead of that first opening match being a barn burner where it gets everybody up in a frenzy. I did like this match. It was physical, as you expect. Samoa Joe beat the you-know-what as CM Punk for most of this match, as it should be. As you mentioned, the angle, the deal where he threw Punk through the bottom of the table, he comes out bleeding. I didn't think it was too much. It was, to me, we'll talk about blood later and all this, but to me it was believable. He sent Punk through whatever that was wrapping the announce table. To me it was believable. Okay, it looked like something that could happen in that, and that's where I'm at on blood. It needs to make sense. Now I'll save other comments for later, but I think it makes sense. I really wanted Samoa Joe to win, but we knew that wasn't going to happen. I like the angle with the Real World title. I think that can go somewhere, and it will, and it could be drug out for a long time. But I do like that. I do think Punk and Joe are those veterans, and they draw attention. They draw money, as they say. And I thought it was a great match.
All right, Randy.
Crowd. Your first glimpse of the pay-per-view crowd.
Yes.
Overwhelmed of like, and if you think this is I love Triple H. He is the one guy that I always say got respect for Triple H out the world, but come on, you choose now to release a document with Cody Rhodes that says this is a second level company. This is ROH, ECW. Son, they just put 80,000. Toned it back enough to be an opening match. Chris Jericho says if you can't close the curtains, you curtains.
Yeah.
There's certain etiquette to being the opening match. Now, you're the opening match of the biggest wrestling crowd in the world. Vince McMahon's product is sports entertainment. This was pro wrestling. And I hate that it ain't going to play out this week for Punk versus MJF. That we're the losers to all this.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I agree with that.
It was a good match. It was an old school match. Slow it down, put them in headlocks, body slam them, stuff like that. And it also played on, Randy, you talked about it. This is their fifth time going at each other, fourth time, fifth time. Early on, both people knew what the other person was going to do, and so they kind of countered it.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I loved it because of the fact of they
didn't put go to sleep. 350-pound man either.
Right. So can I jump in right here, Howie?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Or just give me so a couple of things. I thought the set, and you're showing a picture of it right now. I thought the setup was great. But here's what I liked about Joe and Punk. And y'all noticed this. A couple of things happened in that match that I really appreciated. I love paying homage to the Hulkster. Did y'all get that? Y'all notice that? We had this, we had the leg drop, and then immediately after Joe follows with hooking up.
Mhm.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I really did. I love that. I don't know if you noticed that with Joe, but I did like paying homage to the Terry Funk with the spinning toe hold by CM Punk. I loved it. I love that, and we all probably did. Randall's about to say
Yeah.
something because I love it. You're paying homage to those that paved the way for you.
Absolutely.
Go.
But
All right, well, look,
it was a B match. We can move on, but it wasn't the best match, but it was a B match.
Yep.
it was a good match.
Good
Move on
match.
to the Bullet Club Gold and Takeshita against Gun and the Gun Clubs. I don't know. It was a 90-man match, 90
A
people.
90 man.
The Golden Elite, and anyway, y'all talk about it. Y'all know my feelings about these matches. If you get more than 4 people in the ring, I don't like these matches. So
Well, it's only a 6-way.
Yeah.
But the problem is you just put one of the guns in it, and it makes sense. Having Takeshita wanting to push
I know.
is messing up some of the storyline because it makes sense to have the Golden Elite. And trust me, boys, I felt like they were being punished because Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi in Japan is like putting the daggum Road Warriors back together. But yet they're in a 6-man tag. It just doesn't make sense to have Usha, which he deserves. But I know what they were trying to do. They were trying to get him over Kenny Omega to set up this next weekend, and they did. But at what expense? But now we would be remiss if we didn't talk about how good that match was worked. Hey, Jay White, Juice Robinson's boys, they can work. Anybody in the world.
Yeah.
It was a great match. I just didn't make a lot of sense at the end. A-.
You know, this could have went so many different ways because I could see Takeshita against Kota Ibushi, period, and Hangman and Omega versus the Bullet Club Gold. I'm into that. Takeshita is a talent. I like him. I think this is a good thing for him. He's got size. He can work. And, he does have talent. But I think they could have done so much more with this. You got a former AEW World Champion in Kenny Omega, who is one of your top stars in this whole company, in the biggest event in the history of the company. And he's in a 6-man tag team match.
I think it's punishment. I really do.
Yeah, and I'm not the biggest Kenny Omega fan, but just to be honest, he is one of the bigger stars in AEW.
But it goes back to what you said earlier. I think Randy quoted this earlier. The Elite got beat.
They did. That's good. Yeah, they did.
Hey, and that was a storyline that I almost brought up in our preview. The Elite's going to get beat, and I thought they would. I thought they would go 0 for 5 among the 5 members, and they did.
And again, I hate y'all because I'm listening to Cornette every week now. But that's become my go-to podcast because it's so long. It takes up a lot of my. But he swore up and down there was no way that the Young Bucks or any of those folks are going to do the job in front of 80-something thousand people.
While you're on that, let's just go ahead and talk about that's the next match. FTR defeated the Young Bucks by pinfall to retain the World Tag Team Championship. I know you had tears coming out of your eyes, Jeremy, the way you love the Young Bucks, but go ahead and continue.
Shut up. No, there is no way. I would have been so upset if they would have won. Because I do not like the Young Bucks. I can't even acknowledge their talent. I've subscribed to Cornette's opinion about these guys. They got no psychology. They can do a bunch of acrobatics. They're good heels because I can't stand them, right? But if you pair these two, if you look and honestly look at these two teams in a real fight, there's no way Matt and Nick Jackson are going to beat Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood. There's no way. That will not happen unless they use firearms. So I'm really glad, or weapons of some kind. I'm really glad to see. I don't feel like FTR as tag team champions. I don't feel like there's been enough emphasis on them. They've been in 6-mans and they've been in this. This was a good matchup because Young Bucks being one of the top AEW tag teams. It was a good matchup. Yeah, but I'm really glad to see FTR retain.
Back to earlier, someone on this podcast last week emphasized greatly about how much you love the Young Bucks. So that's the only reason I restated.
It wasn't this guy. It was not this guy.
All right, Randy, take your mind off the football and tell us about this one.
I'm not on football. I'm actually watching some wrestling replay. I've got part of the Utah game recorded. Y'all got worked by one of the best teams in the world.
Oh, don't give me that crap.
They're about to on the FTR and make you really hate them. And if you didn't like this match on Sunday at All In, then you don't ever want to watch a Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express match ever.
I didn't say I didn't like the match. I just don't like the Young Bucks.
They worked it like there's about 2 spots in there that I could put side by side, and it was classic Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express. Look, guys, hate them not. They are the 2 guys that get the very best out of FTR. They are the guys that give FTR their name. If you watch Being the Elite, the FTR is F the Revival, and that's when they came to W. The best, maybe the Briscoes over.
That's why I said there's no way.
But I love you both, but I'm going to tell you right now, the Young Bucks are as good as any tag team in the world. Name FTR. This is old. Split up. You got Young Bucks. Don't be Demolition in a Road Warrior world. Let's go with it.
Oh my gosh! Did you really just say that?
Well, it seems like we need to move on after that one there.
Hey, look, good match though. Really, I'm just a hater. I've never liked the Young Bucks. I didn't like Generation Me. I definitely don't like the Young Bucks. Sorry.
All right, we'll move on to the next 45-man tag team match here, Stadium Stampede. Best friend Eddie Kingston, Cassidy, and Penta L0 that changes outfits halfway through the match defeated Blackpool Combat and Mike Santana and Ortiz by pinfall.
Hey,
Randy, go ahead.
Max Santana looks like $1 million. I was distracted by that. If you love it, you love it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I'm kind of in between a bit. Don't call it Stadium Stampede. Let's just call it Anything Goes, Texas Tornado.
Yeah.
And they were certain aspects of this. The Kingston Claudio work was brilliant. I didn't love the match. And, I'm usually all in on the blood and guts. But the moment when Eddie Kingston shoots John Moxley a bird in the corner may have been the funniest moment of the whole paper. They're just laying there, and he just casually flips him a bird. I don't have a lot for this match. I'm going to say it's a B- just because there's some great talent out there. I thought Santana and Ortiz had a good night. I thought Claudio and Eddie had a good night. I think Orange kind of got lost in this thing, even though he takes the W. I think Penta got lost in it. They were trying to do something. The Penta character in Japan is something like the demon for Finn.
It's Penta.
Yeah.
Yeah, Penta Oscuro.
Yeah, they were trying to give a moment there.
Yeah.
Fell flat freaking face. So
yeah, it didn't work.
When they're climbing the ladder and the ladder breaks, give me a break, guys.
Yeah. Those were real wood ladders, by the way.
They got the move together, though.
Yeah.
I liked it.
All right, Jeremy, go ahead.
Well, look, I'm
FTR Young Bucks match.
Well, I'm kind of with I'm with Randall
Go ahead.
on this. It's not necessarily my cup of tea. Here's the thing. No, here's the thing. You got all these guys in this match. You can't see what's going on. They went to split screen, and you still don't know what's going on somewhere else. And so that's part of it that I didn't like. The other thing is look, why is the ROH World Champion in one of these stupid matches? Why can't we have a legit challenger for Claudio and a ROH World Championship and leave him out of this? I get Yuta being in there. I get Moxley being in there. I get some of these other guys, but I'm just and look, the more I watch John Moxley, the less of a fan I become. And I thought that the thing that brought the most attention with the wooden skewers, he's done it. He's done it a few weeks ago or a little bit ago in another. Ridiculous. It's dumb. It don't make sense. So it made sense. Punk goes through a table of some kind of whatever that was made out of, and he could get cut. When you take out a bag of skewers and you got them in your hand and you get them taken away from you, by the way, by Penta Oscuro, or was that before he changed?
I don't know.
And he jabs them in your head to have that moment where you got all those sticking out of your head like that. I'm over it. And the deal with now, I will say this: at least when he got the fork a hold of Orange Cassidy, at least Orange Cassidy did bleed. But I'm just not a fan of this stuff.
The one thing.
Hey, and another thing, on a side note, what is wrong with Chuck Taylor's face? He's got some kind of, and I'm not making fun or whatever, but he looks like he's got something going on. I mean, his face is just, man, crazy. But I like the Best Friends. I like Best Friends. I like Orange Cassidy. I'm not with Cornette or somebody and I'm crapping on it. I like it. But I just did not like this match.
I hated the ending. It's the only thing I hated.
I couldn't follow it.
Well, I don't want the ROH World Champion to take a pinfall in that match.
No, the ROH World Champion takes a pinfall in a match like this. You had Yuta, you had Moxley, you had anybody else that could have taken that pinfall, and you take who is the strongest man in that company, if not the strongest man in wrestling, pound for pound, and you got him put on a mat and pinned 1, 2, 3. I don't like it. By the way, I don't know if y'all saw this. Bleacher Report graded this match an A-.
I
I give it a C-.
I say there's parts of this match I would say is an A-. There's part of this match that I say is a C-. It's hard for me to put a grade on it because you had so many matches going.
Exactly.
And like every time they cut away to Kingston and Claudio, I absolutely loved it. So
yeah,
kind of all over the place. It got
so,
grade besides the women's match of the whole card.
So give me let me answer this question for me. How both of you? Would you have rather seen Eddie Kingston and Claudio in a world title match than this?
Yes.
I think we're going to see that this week, and I think
I would see that. Yeah, and maybe that's the case. I hope that's the case.
I think they had to pull some stuff back to make the second pay-per-view. It's bad timing. This is the only time they could get Wembley for this. So
yeah.
you change your pay-per-view. So yeah, it's just timing. I guarantee you Tony Khan didn't want to have 2 pay-per-views.
No. Nobody in that company wanted to. The talent didn't, I'm sure. And it's a quick turnaround. Hey, but I'd love to see Eddie Kingston with that ROH world title.
I heard something where this is going to happen year in and year out, where it's going to be back weekends of pay-per-views. That Tony Khan did want it like this.
If he did, then he's just kind of canceling Saturday and Sunday at WrestleMania. That WrestleMania is wrapped. I'd rather have an 8-hour WrestleMania than 2 4-hour WrestleManias.
So my 2 things I took away from this match was, 1, Moxley making out with Sue coming in. And,
by the way, Utah's Moxley in Florida right now. I flipped over and it.
I knew it. I knew it was going to happen.
Florida.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Hal.
Hey, Utah score on the first play of the game, 70-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
The second thing was when Orange Cassidy was putting his hand in that bucket to try to get that glass on there, and then a few minutes later they poured the glass out and it was nothing but sand.
Yes.
Sorry, guys. I mean, it's still real to me, but that right there, that hurts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Terry Funk really didn't lose his eyes, Jerry Lawler.
Yeah, but you believed it, Randall. You believed it. You can't believe that when there's powder coming out of that bucket.
It was a good 1.5 feet away from his eyes. I was watching it on TV. But that splinter was a 1.5 feet away.
Hey, if you want to break kayfabe, that's all. Don't do it on public, out in the public. Don't break kayfabe, man.
Oh,
he really lost his eye.
All right, we'll move on to the next match real quick.
Did we lose AJ?
I don't know what. It popped something up. I didn't read it. I don't know.
Hey, I'll be right back.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and get started on this. Yeah. We'll go ahead and get started on the 4-way women's match for the AEW World Championship. You got Saraya against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Hikaru Shida, and Toni Storm, with Hikaru Shida coming in as the champion, but the winner of this match by pinfall was Saraya by beating Dr. Britt Baker.
Okay. I'll get out of Jeremy's way and let him have all the time he needs. I got 2 points to make. Damn.
Okay.
Shida look hot.
Yeah.
Hey, Shida, look. Let me talk to you. You looking for a 50-something?
Hey, stop it. That's not this kind of podcast.
With good Tennessee season tickets.
Oh, boy.
They're on River City Media.
Yeah.
Number 2, the cheapest, easiest pop was the right move, and they got
It
it.
was.
And you know what? When her whole family walked down with her,
Yeah.
I went, wow, she's coming out the world champion. I
Yeah.
think lose it this week.
Yeah.
But it was, and two, listen, and some of it may be her own fault, but that girl has been through a lot too, and drug through the public specter of some of the things that happened with Andretti and not Andretti. What was his name?
Alberto Del Rio.
And stuff that happened in the WWE with some league stuff and breaking her neck. Don't care. At 19 years old, she could work with anybody in the world and was as good as she could be. Give her a moment. Place babies was in the air, as Jim Cornette would say. Cheetah.
Jeremy, it's all yours.
Hey, shoot your shot, man.
Hey,
shoot your shot.
I just full court Stephen Curry up right there. I mean,
that's right. That's right. So look, we all knew what was going to happen. I think we did. I think we all talked about that last week. That makes sense. It's easy. I'm doing it too. Yeah. Do legit? Who do I think needs the title? I think it's either Sheeta or Toni Storm. But for that moment, for that crowd, to have her family come out there who's been in the wrestling business, who raised her in the wrestling business, and to have them visible, I thought it was great to do that. Again, it's a tornado of a match. A lot of stuff going on, right? 4-way match. Little hard to follow at times. I did like where Saraya's mom got hit. I did like that. Of course, she's one of the best. She's, been in wrestling and British wrestling forever, right?
Right.
So I did like that. It's a great moment. 80,000 people, probably 90% of them are probably rooting for Saraya. So I like the moment. I'm with Randall. I think she's probably going to lose the title pretty soon. To who? I still think it needs to go back to Toni Storm or it needs to go back to Sheeta. I think Britt Baker. She's cooled off. I don't get her. But to be honest with you, I would have rather seen just. So here's what we're looking at, though. We're looking at the implosion or the dismantling of the runaways or castaways or whatever it is they call themselves. Outcasts. Because I think Toni Storm is a star for sure. I think this is her getting separating from that group. You got Ruby Soho, who made an appearance, going to be contending for the TBS title. But it was a good match, good moment. Wrestling's about moments. The crowd response and stuff was really cool.
The one thing I took out of this match, and I've taken out of several of the matches lately with them, is I do not want to buy my spray paint where they buy theirs because it just does not work. It does not work.
It's terrible.
Hey, they need to go check in with the old NWO from after 4 hours of wrestling. So
yeah. Absolutely. All right, move on to the next. And Darby Allin and Sting defeated Christian Cage and Swerve Strickland in a coffin match. And guys, I feel like this and kind of stole the show up to this moment. Y'all's thoughts, Jeremy?
Well, I mentioned it last week. What will the crowd do when Sting enters the stadium? I think we got I like the pre-intro kind of video they did. I liked it a lot. I liked look. I got chills when Sting turned in that English accent, and it was the Joker Sting. I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought he did a great job with it. So something we didn't mention in the previous match, and Tony Khan makes a habit of doing this, is purchasing the rights to use certain music. So Saraya entered with Queen, "We Will Rock You." I didn't really think that was appropriate for her, but give it what it is, Queen. Sting and Darby Allin entered the match with Metallica, "Seek and Destroy." I thought it was perfect. God, I'd love to see Sting enter every time with "Seek and Destroy." I thought it was perfect for that pairing. Anytime I can watch Sting, I said it last week. Anytime I can see Sting perform, however limited he is, I love it. I still feel like I'm a kid because I watched him when I was a kid. If I can watch him, however limited he may be, and Sting still can move. They were using him right. I still get nervous when he does. He came off the apron onto the coffin, did a leg drop on the table. But I think they're using him perfect for his ability, his age, and you still get to see Sting, man. I love it.
All right, Randy.
Okay. The Seek and Destroy, Jeremy stole my thunder because that was perfect.
It was.
It was. I got sitting here. First, they did the Joker Sting bit, and then it goes into Seek and Destroy.
Yeah.
Perfect. Christian Cage, while just being thrown, is still brilliant. And can make me even hate him more.
He wore a freaking turtleneck, Randall. He had a turtleneck shirt on. That shows you.
Swerve Strickland trying to be put into the coffin was the funniest thing ever. And they booked it right. And I don't know if I'm the only one that noticed it. But
I know where you're going.
When Darby coffin drops him off the top, his dreadlocks are still out the coffin.
Right. And I noticed it.
I was like, looks like
the match.
You couldn't get all those dreadlocks in there. But him fighting and Sting closing it on his fingers, all that, it was brilliant. And then they get it closed, and it's like they beat up that coffin to I wouldn't.
Yes.
I wouldn't even bury Vince Russo in that coffin.
Yeah.
Jim Cornette pees on him, it would leak down on him because it was destroyed.
Yeah. So
not plus match, but as a gimmick match, it is about as good as you can get. A-.
Hey, so look, I'm going to jump back in here right here. A lot of multiple participant matches, a lot of no DQ matches. Are really, there's no rules. We've already seen them up to this point. We got another one. I thought we could have done without Luchasaurus interfering. I thought we could have done without the kid. What was his name now? They waited till he was graduated high school to sign him. Supposed to be the Phenom.
Bones Malone's.
That shows you how much I know about him. I watched him wrestle one time. I'm not impressed. I think he'll probably be. I thought we could have done without that, and I'm with Cornette on the choke slam on the skateboard. Here you go at 19 years old, and you're already doing stupid stuff that's going to shorten your career. I could have done without all of that. Leave the 4 participants in there with the madness that they were engaged in, and get these guys didn't need to be on the show.
Why
they didn't need to be.
He fired Swerve Strickland. I'll never know.
He's good.
He's a just him walking out makes me laugh.
I didn't like the rap. I didn't like the rap intro. I thought it was horrible. And I don't even know who those guys are. Of course, it's not like I'm in the hip hop game anyway, as you can tell. But I get what they were trying to do. Makes sense. Swerve's talented. Here's the thing, and I'm gonna repeat with something I heard this week. They've tried to do stuff with Swerve. What happened to Keith Lee?
What
You know, no, not even on the card. So, but again, I'm gonna go back to what I said. If I can see Sting perform just a little while longer, even if it ain't what it used to be, just like with the Undertaker. If the Undertaker was wrestling again, I know he might not do old school. He might not do some of the things that he done, but if I can watch him make that entrance one more time and do a couple of things and tombstone somebody, I'm in. I'm in. I don't care how old he is.
All right, move on to the next match. Will Ospreay defeated Chris Jericho by pinfall, singles match. Jeremy, go ahead.
I thought this was a good match. I like Will Ospreay a lot. We make the argument that Jericho's just trying to stay relevant and he's putting himself in these matches, but I really thought I feel like Jericho when he came back from that injury. Y'all remember that? What's that been about a year ago? I thought Jericho was in phenomenal shape. I thought he had gotten himself back in great shape. I feel like he slipped a little bit, but I think Jericho worked really hard. He did a pretty good job in that match. The intro, the concept of Judas being sung by Fozzy, I like it. You're about to wrestle, dude. You got to walk that aisle, and you're trying to sing. I didn't think it was good.
Randy, your thoughts on that?
The crowd took over.
I would have let the crowd.
I'm with you. I thought that's what would happen, but he tried to sing a little more than I thought he would, and it wasn't good. And we all know if we've been to concerts, sometimes live is not as good as the recording that we listen to on the radio.
Was that when the Fireflies showed up, though? I'm trying to set up the place with everybody had Fireflies out. Because that's what I'm remembering was the moment.
No, it's the next.
No. Hey, so let me say this: if I'm in a band and I'm touring and they've been successful, like them or not. If I have the opportunity to for my band to perform and blend the two careers and bring them together, I want to do that. So I can't blame him. I can't blame him at all for that. So I thought it.
Okay, it wasn't his best. I've seen him live, and he's not the greatest vocalist, and I think he kind of even took a shot at himself when he said he had a thing at Queen play and had a famous Queen show in front of 80,000 people at Live Aid, and then had AC/DC at their Donning show, 51,000, and threw up this meme where it said Fozzy 81,000 in Wembley Stadium.
I love it. It's good. Jericho, look, like him or not, right? Like him or not, Jericho has a way. He knows how to stay relevant. Just like the Nature Boy, just like Ric Flair at 70-something years old, he's still relevant in some way. He knows how to. He's very creative, and he knows how to stay relevant. And even taking shots at himself. I do like the angle where he's kind of, doubting himself and he's pushing Sammy away. Now, I watched Dynamite last night. I didn't like that at all.
They see Jericho out of the business soon.
Yeah, and hey, look, the guy's a credit to the business. I don't care what anybody else says. And so creative.
If there's one guy who wants to give a rub to, it's Sammy, and I think he's trying to do that.
Yes. And we may see them with a world title, with a tag team world title here. And that'd be okay with me.
FTR versus the Sex Gods would be very good.
And I can't stand either one of them. I don't like Sammy. Jericho, Jericho, I'm in and out, but I just don't like Sammy. Even when they try to push him as a babyface, but Jericho, I admire his ability to stay all these years, to stay relevant, to contribute to the business, and he's contributed a lot to the business and to those guys in that locker room. I'm no doubt.
All right, y'all ready for me? You ready for me to say it?
Say it.
Will Ospreay's the greatest wrestler in the world.
It's good. He's really good.
Got a match out of Chris Jericho that I'm not sure anybody else could get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm numbering wrestlers, it's Will Ospreay, Roman Reigns, Takeshita. I mean, how can you not watch Will Ospreay? And it's a shame. It's a shame AEW can't get his name on a contract because he is a New Japan talent.
Yeah.
If there's one guy that they could put the AEW World Championship on and make
I agree.
even bigger, it would be Will Ospreay. And I'm not a Will Ospreay mark. He don't have much of a gimmick compared to like the other guys on this list. But he don't need it. He reminds me in sheer talent of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I think that's the closest thing I can come to who Will Ospreay is. And
no, that's a perfect example.
When I finished watching that, I didn't even watch the main event. And now the main event got me, but I was just like my breath was taken away by moments of that. And we talk about, and I know, Jeremy, I give you a hard time talking about reality. There's not a moment in that match you couldn't take out to a street and make it into a fight.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah. And you know, credit to Jericho. And look, we got to remember, he's 51 years old now. He's my age. Could I do any I might be able to walk the aisle and get in the ring, but that's about all I'm going to be able to do. And Jericho's still doing line salts and still doing the things that he's doing. So credit to Jericho, but I'm right there with you on Ospreay. You know, he did make some statements regarding his contract, and there is a possibility that he could end up being signed with AEW. If you're Tony Khan, with all the people you signed, you need to sign Will Ospreay.
You give Will Ospreay more money than you've given anybody since Chris Jericho.
So, would you pay money for one match, Will Ospreay, MJF?
Absolutely.
I'm paying. I would pay for that.
$1 for it. I'll give you matches in AEW I want to see. Will Ospreay, MJF. Will Ospreay, Adam Cole. Will Ospreay, John Moxley, where Moxley works. Not talking a fight, but Moxley works. Will Ospreay, I've already seen it, but I'd pay for it again. Will Ospreay, Jay White.
Yes.
Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega.
Yes.
Will Ospreay, Dash or Cash. Give me either one.
Yeah.
Will Ospreay, Mark Briscoe. Will Ospreay, Claudio Castagnoli, whatever they call him. Will Ospreay can take, let's think of somebody Will Ospreay literally could take one of the Dark Orders and throw, what do they call them now? Evil Uno.
Hey, Johnny Huggy.
He could put 45 minutes on with Johnny Huggy, have you grasping for your.
Hey, and by the way, I like John Silver. I think he's awesome.
I do too, but one, if you've got a lick of talent and you can work, and I don't know if you noticed, but there was a couple of times that I even think Jericho deferred to Will Ospreay to call that match, and it's something we don't talk about a lot. But that somersault onto the ropes, I think I don't think Jericho calls that move. I think Will Ospreay says, calls that move.
Well, and I think people have opinions about Jericho, but I believe Jericho's a true veteran. I believe he's there to help these guys,
Got him over clean.
and he did. He put him over clean. He hit it. He hit his best moves on Ospreay and allowed it, and he kicked out Jericho, the Judas effect, and I like Will. Look, you mentioned matches. Orange Cassidy, Will Ospreay. That's one of my favorite AEW matches.
Claudio, I think Claudio.
I think it'd be a great match
because of Claudio's strength and the base he could give Will Ospreay to spring off of. It was incredible.
Woo!
I think that someone like MJF, because Ospreay has great ring psychology. I mean, I do not want to go on about Will Ospreay, but if you like pro wrestling, back in the Attitude Era, if you like pro wrestling in the 1970s era, if you like the 90s, if you like any era that they was, if you like pro wrestling, go watch that match and you'll love it.
Yeah, insert
Cornette's opinion of stuff, but I guarantee you Jim Cornette loved that match.
Mm-hmm.
What about Ospreay against Bryan Danielson?
Oh my God!
Oh gosh, that's Howie. That may be the best of what we've mentioned.
Yeah.
By the way, where is Bryan Danielson?
He is coming back pretty soon from the broken arm.
Nah, I hope so.
We'll move on to the next match, which is it was a good match, but the tribute that they gave to Bray Wyatt,
I love it,
was awesome. The Acclaim and Billy Gunn defeated the House of Black for the 6-man trios world title, whatever they call it now. But the tribute that they did for Bray Wyatt by bringing the lantern out and setting it down, turning the lights off for the fireflies to come out.
Yeah.
Very touching. If it's flipped around, I don't think the WWE would allow
No, I don't either.
Buddy Murphy, wish I had the tweet. Buddy Murphy summed it up, and it's the only thing I'll say about this match. He said, and they referred to him as his real. He said, Wyndham, you loved, basically, that they all loved William Rotundo, and you had showed him love. And in that moment, I have very few moments I can remember in pro wrestling that I'm sitting here trying to fight back tears. And legit rest in peace, William Rotundo. Yeah. Overshadowed the match in my head. I didn't even come back to earth to think about it. I literally got up and walked away for a few minutes because I was so up in the game. But then again, I was glad to see Daddy Ass go over and put that talent on the Acclaim. You could have put either one of those over, but somehow losing in tribute to someone to me almost seems right, So
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if the match is an A+++++, but the tribute was A++++++. And as a wrestling fan, thank you, England, for giving me that. Wrestling gives you moments to remember.
Yep, it does.
For giving me that moment, because that's how I will always remember Wyndham Rotunda.
Yeah. And I thought it was, I really appreciated, and I mean, I appreciated the fact that even in the announce booth, so to speak, they mentioned Bray Wyatt. They mentioned Wyndham Rotunda in their commentary, and those guys worked well. I know Malachi, and then I know Buddy Matthews. I know they both worked with him. They were together. So what kind of from all accounts, Wyndham Rotunda was not only very creative and very had a lot of talent, but he was a good dude. And, being a good dude, at the end of the day, none of us is going to worry about, hey, was I talented or was I, we wonder what, Tim McGraw's newest song. I don't know if y'all heard that song, and he talked about, the standing room only. So what kind of man are you? By all accounts, Wyndham Rotunda was a fantastic man, and good to people around him, and so that makes an impact on people. The match, and Randall sharing the Fireflies there at the tribute, which I thought anytime we'll see that for a long time.
It was.
Yeah, we will see. But the match itself, again, another multiple person match. I thought it was good. I thought it was kind of unique that the House of Black came out wearing all white. I thought Julia Hart looked really good wearing all white. I thought it was interesting the spot where Julia Hart took the whatever they call it to the crotch. To be honest, I don't think the scissor. I don't think they would have done that in the United States. But credit to her for being willing. But I don't know where to go with this. I like the fact Billy Gunn. I love Billy Gunn. I could only hope to ever look like Billy Gunn. He's 60 plus years old. He looks great. He's a big. I never really understood how big Billy Gunn was, but he's a big man. And the only problem I have with this is they've got to find ways to get the Acclaimed over on their own. On their own, apart from Billy Gunn. I love the rap. I don't know if y'all paid attention to the rap. I think Max Caster, he always brings it. If you watched it last night, I laughed my head off. I thought it was hilarious. They got to find ways to get those two guys over on their own, because Billy Gunn's not going to be. But it's nice to see a legend get another run. But I thought it was odd that Brody King, that the House of Black actually showed some sportsmanship and handed the titles over. I don't know about that if we're going to consider them heels. How could you consider the House of Black a babyface? That was a babyface move to me.
Was.
So, I don't know. I enjoyed it.
That made me wonder if a couple of those guys might not be ex.
Yeah.
Two of their spouses are in the WWE.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to tell you, Buddy Matthews, super talented. Looks like $1 million.
Mommy.
Huh?
About to marry mommy.
And my Lord, he's about to marry mommy. So, I won't get into that, but anyway.
All right, we'll move on to our main event. MJF, the champion, comes in and defeats Adam Cole by pinfall to retain his championship. Who wants to start?
Let Jeremy come off the tee.
Oh, man. I was hoping I got a break here. Look, if I get, depending on what my criteria is, which I had to watch this and I couldn't watch it start to finish. I watched it. I actually picked up Howie. I wasn't going to watch it. And I thought, well, heck, I'm just going to order it. So I went ahead and picked up. I watched it from the point that it was live, and then I went back. I like the match. Just from an entertainment standpoint, strictly not trying to critique it. I thought it was good because you got two guys that are extremely talented. I've been really critical of Adam Cole.
Baby.
By the way, he's looking a little better.
Baby.
I don't know if y'all noticed that, but I like him. I think he's talented. I still think he could put on Adam Cole, drink some protein shakes, put on about 15 pounds of muscle, do something. But I like MJF's entrance. I think it's a subtle reminder that even though we're kind of babyface MJF right now, he's wearing that devil's mask. I think it's a subtle reminder of who he really is. So I like that. I like the entrance. Of course, Adam Cole's entrance is always good. It's over with the crowd. Everybody's waiting to go boom. The match was good. I like the ending. I actually did. It ended a draw. The only thing, and I'm in agreement with Cornette on this. I think that if the referee at that point where they double clothesline, which I thought was hilarious, they clotheslined each other. I wish the referee would have showed a state of confusion first and been like, okay, I don't know what to do here. He did count them both. It's like he knew what was happening here. I wish he would have acted like, okay, this is weird. I don't know what's going on, and then he figured it out. I liked it that Adam Cole asked for 5 more minutes. Seems reasonable for the challenger to ask for 5 minutes after it's a draw. I like, and then MJF, you notice that Mike was really hot when he said, "No, we're gonna do this until there's a winner." You know what? I think this is as good as this match could have ended. Adam Cole still looks good. MJF got a roll up right there at the end. More to come, right? More to come. Take the story, string it out a little longer. Now they're still ROH tag team champions. So good match. I thought the crowd was still into it at that point. That's all I got to say.
How many matches do you have that you think both of them are going to turn heel at different points in the match?
We don't know what's happening.
I didn't know. I didn't have to kayfabe myself because I didn't know what was coming next, and that's when it's really good. I didn't have to, that splinter was not 6 inches off his face, because every moment that was just real. MJF is, and you heard me say that Will Ospreay is the best worker in the world, and I still think he is. MJF may be the best sports entertainer in the world.
The best talent overall.
Yeah, he's just got on. He and we sell him short in that MJF is built great. Built like
got a great physique.
Talks like a pro wrestler. Somebody in the tributes to Terry Funk said, all you had to do is put a mic in front of Terry Funk and he would entertain you. All you got to do to MJF is put a mic in front of him, he'll entertain you.
I completely agree with that.
MJF is so good, he has to have a dancing partner that's of equal footing. And Adam Cole is a 3-time wage world champion.
Yeah.
Adam Cole, we forget. A year ago, Adam Cole was all over WWE product and the fact NXT. Adam Cole is about as good as they get. And AEW might have just got lucky in that Adam Cole is engaged to Britt Baker and they wanted to be together, because he probably legitimately is one of the few guys that left WWE that you went, wow, I didn't see that coming. Now, there's also the story of Vince calling him in and saying, I want to make you a manager, and him not wanting to do that. But I can see that.
And I don't blame him.
So I gave it a Dave Meltzer 6 stars out the door, up front, and I loved it. I thought it was as good. It was like seeing Vince McMahon EW shirt.
Like you sent us today. Yeah. So, I like the match. And again, listen, why don't we watch this stuff? Why don't we pay $50 to watch the pay-per-view? We watch it to be entertained. I don't watch it to critique it for this podcast. I was entertained. I thought it was good. If we could go ahead.
You ever find when you're watching it though, you go, "Oh, I can't wait to talk to Jeremy about that because I'm just gonna make him eat that."
No, I don't care. We watch this stuff, and us three guys on this podcast, we may talk a bunch of crap and stuff. If anybody's listening to this, but at the end of the day, we're all fans. We watch wrestling because we like it, because it entertains us, because it makes us laugh, or it wows us, or whatever. And so I thought this, you know what? This is as good as I could have imagined this match would have been.
If you go back to Jimmy Valvano's famous speech, he says, "If I laugh and I cry in a day, I've had a good day." In a 4-hour journey to AEW,
We did both.
That Jimmy Valvano talks about in that speech of having a good day.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to top it. To me, it's horrible time too. Trying to have a pay-per-view this weekend is just like the worst time to be. Yeah. Very doubtful there's a review of this pay-per-view because I don't plan on watching it because
it's too close.
If I love wrestling, everybody knows I do. I love the Tennessee Volunteers more, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to turn 57 this weekend. I'm going to have fun. Wrestling's going to take a back seat. But
Woo!
Yeah, there's plenty of things for us to talk about next week.
Yeah, so
let me go back to a point that you brought up, Randy, a few minutes ago, a dancing partner. And the first thing that it came to mind was The Rock and Mankind when they were
Mick
Foley, the odd couple being there when Mick Foley gave Rock that birthday party celebration. You know,
that's part of this storyline.
Basically doing the same exact stuff.
Yes.
But here's the slight difference. When they're in the ring, they're more Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock.
Yes.
Chemistry in the ring, outside the chemistry. I go back to this. I'm glad I wanted to talk. The only thing I wanted to talk about tonight when this show was this. The promo that they kind of cut afterwards. Like, dude, I'm tired of wrestling you. You've made me work way too hard. Great. Genius. So
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, both of them are wonderful talents. And Howie, you just nailed it. They've got chemistry.
They do. I think they're on to something, and hopefully, creatively, they can keep this going a little longer. I think it's worthy of it. And then once that expires, then you bring Punk back into with the real world title, and then now you've got something else to go on.
Yep.
So, and again, I've been really critical of Adam Cole, mainly based on his physique, because he's been over, and the guy can wrestle. But I just can't I couldn't get by the fact that he is a 190-pound, 180-pound skinny white man, and he's pale white, and I can't. It's not been believable to me that he could beat somebody.
Did he get elevated by working with MJF?
He did. Well, he did, but he's talented though.
And he's it's win-win book.
I think he's elevated MJF because I think MJF, now we're seeing a new dimension of him that he can be funny. He's not that heel that you got bored of or that you said, hey, it's time to change. Now you see MJF is fun. He's funny. He can play that part. He can wrestle because Cole can wrestle.
Yeah, and we got the mixed chance. Y'all predict it too.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I like it. I like it a lot. It makes me, in addition to being entertained for this pay-per-view, now I'm asking, all right, what's going to happen here? That makes me want to watch the next show.
It does.
And so that's the bottom line, and that's what you want to do. I think that's what I would want to do if I was, had a company, and I want people to wonder what's going to happen and want to tune in the next week or to the next Dynamite or the Collision or whatever it may be, because they want to see what happens.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing. I want to see what happens.
Well, boss.
All right, guys.
Where are you going to take us next week?
The what?
Where are you going to take us next week?
I don't know. My closing remarks on this real quick is if you take that 6-man tag match out, it's the best pay-per-view in years. But with that 6-man tag being in there, it drops it down just a little.
So, again, I think at the end of the day, you ask yourself this. I paid $49.99 or whatever it is for this event. Was it worth it? It was worth it to me. I thought it was a good. I thought it was a good pay-per-view. Again, as we talked about the crowd, that 80,000 plus, I felt like they could have done a better job miking that crowd and harnessing that energy.
First time.
Right. It's their first time doing an event that size. But that crowd, we said that last week, the crowd makes the event. Rock Hogan, that crowd made that match.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was a great event. I was glad I finished it. I ordered it. And I went ahead and watched it. And now I'm wondering what's going to happen.
Hey guys, I think it's great. Before we get out of here, Howie, our friend Rocky Shaw just got what we've been working for. He just got his bonus program for us creators and us creators on Facebook who work hard to make entertainment. Rocky finally got his bonus program, and let's plug Rocky's site right now because this is the time that Rocky can actually turn this into a money-making venture for him. Of course, we need you to like and follow River City Media, but Rocky is a little ahead of us, and if you're watching this, go watch Rocky's show. Go throw him a like. Go throw him a father. He's doing a lot to try to make this a little bit more of a full-time job for himself, and man, he's got some good entertainment. Hey, Howie, before you leave us out tonight, though, I would be remiss if we didn't at least show this. Man, well, at some point, I'm sure we're going to do a tribute to him, but the world lost a true talent this week, and man, that one hurt. Just so young, but I don't know if I don't need a few days to get to where I can do a tribute. So we'll talk about it later.
And we're doing this far too often.
Yes.
Not just an in-ring talent, but a creative talent as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a second picture. This one almost makes me cry because I think that was the passing of the torch right there. I think we saw it live.
Right.
So I'm sick of the shows, man. This one gonna be tough.
The thing that we see these folks as talents, and we talk about their talent, and we talk about we see what they do on TV. The thing that I think about is he's got, I think, 3 kids.
Yeah,
they're extremely young kids, and to grow up without your father,
tough.
Man, that's sad. And you hope that the family, friends that come around those kids and kind of be there for them and stuff. So I was shocked. I didn't think it was real. Who you, and then you want to ask yourself, okay, what could have been with this talent? I think his best run was ahead of him. And
thankful though that it was not the circumstance that so many has been. There's medical reasons, because immediately that's what people started. oh, another drug
Right.
overdose.
Exactly.
It's almost
Exactly.
like Luke Harper, you know, and I'm sure his family don't put everything out there, but it just somehow it happened, you know. So
absolutely. I don't know what we're going to do next week because we're all in football starting tomorrow night. Randy, I know you've been at it for a couple of weeks now. Jeremy starts up tomorrow night. I start up tomorrow night. So I will let y'all know what's going to happen because I hate to say, hey, we're going to do this, and then we end up not doing something. So
we're going to try to do it every week, but it may be a little more intermediate. So just bear. Last year we put ourselves on suspension for 3 months, and I don't think that was good either. We lost a lot of momentum, and we're gonna do our very best to be here every week. You might see some different. You might see me and Jeremy. You might see Howie and Jeremy. You might see me and Howie. We're gonna try to get you something on here every week, but
so
probably won't be able to tell you what it is until later in the week. But we will announce it on River City Media.
So, anybody that's listening to this, we appreciate you listening.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we want to continue on. You know, if you like listening to us, good old boys talking about wrestling, we enjoy talking about it too. Yeah, we do. And you know, I think all three of us, I think y'all feel the same way. Look, this is just like a phone call for us, or getting a dinner and talking about stuff. But we really, enjoy it. And hopefully, I know what podcasts mean to me because I travel a lot and I put a podcast on. I don't listen to music, I listen to podcasts. So I know what those podcasts mean to me. So hopefully it means the same to somebody listening for sure.
Absolutely.
Got a road trip coming up in December, probably together too.
Yes.
Yep. Sounds good. So, join us next time when you might hear Randy say,
I went to the buffet and I rated it 4-star experience. hey, kind of threw Coach Fan for a loop last night when I compared his depth chart to a buffet, didn't I?
It threw me for a loop as well. So, anyway, for the hyped up Jeremy Johnson on energy drinks tonight, for the laid back Randy with his face covered up, I'm your host, Howie Cheney. Join us next time on It's Still Real to Me,
where Junior Samples will say, call BR549 for your used car needs. Good night.
Yep.